Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to another interesting and interactive session of Muskaan, an initiative of Prabha Khaitan Foundation and Education for All Trust, presented by Sri Cement Limited. Today's session is in association with Worldwide Fund for Nature. Prabha Khaitan Foundation is an organization based in Kolkata, founded by late Dr. Prabha Khaitan. The foundation is dedicated to promote performing arts, culture, education, literature, gender equality, and women's empowerment. The foundation's latest initiative, Muskaan, aims at popularizing heritage literature and culture among children and young adults by weaving it into formal and informal education through student activities. Some of the ways developed to do this are cultural programs, storytelling sessions, theater, dance, music, and art, which are organized via collaborations with our national and international associations and institutes, both pan-India and overseas. Today's session is really special. It's for celebrating World Environment Day because there's only one Earth. In the universe, there are billions of galaxies. In our galaxy, there are billions of planets, but there is only one Earth. Climate change, nature and biodiversity loss, pollution and waste, these are terms all of us are aware of, familiar with. Evidence that Earth is code red is all around us and growing more ominous every day. The way out of this dilemma is to transform our economies and societies to make them inclusive, fair, and more connected with nature. We must shift from harming the planet to healing it. Only one Earth calls for collective, transformative action on a global scale to celebrate, protect, and restore our planet. WWF India is committed to creating and demonstrating practical solutions that help conserve India's ecosystems and rich biodiversity. Marking 50 years of conservation journey in the country, WWF India works towards finding science-based and sustainable solutions to address challenges at the interface of development and conservation. Today, with over 50 offices across 20 states, WWF India work spans across thematic areas including the conservation of key wildlife species and their habitats, management of rivers, wetlands, and their ecosystems, climate change adaptation, driving sustainable solutions for business and agriculture, empowering local communities as stewards of conservation, combating illegal wildlife trade, and inspiring students and citizens to take positive action for the environment through outreach and awareness campaigns. WWF India is part of the WWF International Network with presence in over 100 countries across the world. This evening, I have the pleasure of welcoming Ms. Neha Raghav. And now I ask my young friends to get ready for a very interesting session. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ray, and it's such a pleasure to interact with children one more time. And this is absolute privilege to be working with the PK Foundation and contributing to their cause. I would just give me a moment. I would like to share my screen and get started. I hope everyone can see the screen. I will start now. Okay, so before I begin, I would like to wish all of you a very happy World Environment Day, which is 2 days from now. June 5th is the World Environment Day, and first time the World Environment Day was celebrated in the year 1974. And in 2022, we are celebrating the 48th World Environment Day. Okay, so isn't it interesting? We are all meeting on such an important day. Okay, and even though we celebrate World Environment Day on June 5, yet the importance of environment through the rest of the year, it doesn't become any less. Okay, the rest of the days are as important for the environment because anything and everything we do is all about environment. Okay, so what are we going to do this World Environment Day? Okay, we are going to explore nature in our backyard. Often, we all travel to, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks. We like to go to the park. But did you know that you can enjoy and observe nature right in your backyard? All you need to do is you have to be very keen observer. You have to have, a desire to explore, go deep dive, know more about what you're watching, and connect with nature. So we are going to take a little journey. But before we do that, let me tell you a little bit about Worldwide Fund for Nature. Of course, Ms. Ray has already, talked about the kind of work WWF does, but I have an interesting story to tell you. Okay, so just hold on. Okay, now this is a panda. Okay, and so you all recognize this logo, right? This is WWF India's logo, and this is world's one of the most recognized logo because of such a lovely animal, being adopted as the logo. And this animal and this particular panda was the only giant panda in the Western world, and it was brought to the London Zoo in the year 1954. Okay, and this panda was called Chi-Chi. Okay, you can see on the screen, this panda is known as Chi-Chi. And does anyone know what Chi-Chi means? It's basically a Mandarin word, which is a Chinese language. So what does Chi-Chi mean? It's interesting to know that I, in fact, figured out recently that Chi-Chi means a little naughty girl. So perhaps this little panda was a little naughty girl, okay, and it used to roll in the zoo. It used to continuously eat and enjoy bamboo, which was grown specifically for her. So it was really interesting. So when the founding fathers of WWF India, they happened to visit the London Zoo, and they saw this lovely, furry, beautiful, cute looking animal, the giant panda. They just fell in love with it. And they also, felt that this perhaps is the perfect animal to become logo of an organization which was completely working on the conservation of animals. Okay, and because at that point of time giant panda were endangered, there were not enough numbers of giant pandas. The numbers had come down really down. So they thought that, okay, yes, this will be a perfect representation of the work that we plan to do. And apart from that, it was black and white in color. So every time we print, and that logos go on top of all the books, they go on top of all the letters. So every time we would print, we would save on ink. Okay, so there was another way of conservation. So, and that was the reason why they felt that maybe a giant panda, which is a black and white animal which was endangered, was perhaps the perfect animal to become the logo of our organization. And WWF started internationally in the year 1961, and it was founded in India in 1969. So we are already around 53 years old in the country. And we are spread across 75 locations. There are field offices, there are state offices, there are offices which do a lot of work on education. So that will be interesting to know. And we do a whole lot of programs for children like you. All right. And there are three broad areas in which we work, and which is conserving the biodiversity. So we already have identified the species which are endangered, and we work towards protecting them so that their numbers can grow to a nominal level. Similarly, we try to also protect their habitat, and these important habitat, these are called critical regions or landscapes where we work. Apart from that, we realize that these animals are losing their habitat because the humanity's footprint is forever increasing. Humanity's footprint means our impact, human beings' negative impact on nature. Every time we take water from the rivers, every time we get wood from the forest to build our homes, every time we dig the earth to find precious gems and stones for us, okay, we leave an impact, we harm nature, okay, because we are doing it uncontrollably. And that is why we started to work towards reducing our impact on nature and reducing our footprint. And from this comes our goal that you can see on the screen, to stop the degradation of the planet's natural environment and build a future in which humans live in harmony with nature. And in future, you are all children right now. When in future you will all become grown-ups, you will all begin working, you will all become engineers, doctors. So we all want you to join hands and conserve the planet, okay, and not let any further degradation happen. Okay, so this is something that WWF does. I will play a short video for you so that you get little idea about what WWF India does all across the country. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so here you all just saw that we work with all kinds of people. We have experts, biologists, marine biologists, tree experts, river experts, river biodiversity experts working with us very closely. And they help us educate the communities. We work with farmers, businesses, and you also saw that we work with children, telling them all about nature and telling them, how nature is so important. All right, so right now, today what we are going to do is we are going to in the first place, try to observe nature closely and see how we can connect. So I'm sure you all love to take a walk in a little park where there are lots of trees. But when we say be in nature and observe nature, it is a little more than just walking in a green space. Okay, so what I am going to do over here is I will take you for a walk in nature. We are going to take a virtual nature trail. So this is simply, we are taking you on a walk through nature. But after the session gets over, when you step out in a green space, when you look out of your window and you look at a green patch, where there are lots of trees, plants, you will know what to see. You will know, what it is all about being in nature and learning from it. Okay, so here is a little video I would want all of you to watch very carefully, because there is going to be an interesting quiz that you will be participating in after that.
Hi there, I'm WWF India's naturalist, and today I'm going to be taking you on an adventure into the jungle. So let's learn about your local biodiversity. Just have that enthusiasm, that excitement that we're learning something new. Come along and join me. So let me tell you a story. I had this colleague of mine whose name was Ayon Day. One day it was Ayon's birthday, and I thought of calling him in a very different way. Just try and repeat the actions that I'm doing. Hold your nose, tilt your head a bit, and loudly shout, Ayon! 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 And that's how you shall get the sound of your Indian peafowl, which is also your national bird. How wonderful! These birds are your very social jungle babblers. You can also call them your 7 brothers or 7 sisters, because you'll often see them in a group of 6 to 7. Now when they are in a group, they would often make this chattering sound like a chatterbox. They would make this sound of chi 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 chi. They love to seek attention. So if you're not paying attention, this bird will give you a warning. Hey, you're not listening to me. Purely magical. This is your jungle karonda. It has about 7 petals. What a fruitful smell. Beautiful. You will often hear this bird singing out loud to you during the rainy season. It's called the brain fever bird. So if you actually try and break the lyrics of this sound, it will sound something similar to brain fever, brain fever, brain fever. And you can hear it right now. Now, we are going to meet the architects of nature. These architects are the Baya weavers. Striking golden yellow are the males in their breeding season. These guys have a tough task to do. They are supposed to weave their nest using the fresh grass blades. Now the male has to completely make a nice basket kind of nest, and then he invites the females, fluttering his wings like this and singing out loud that come visit me at my place. But it's magical to just see the males sitting on the complete nest and fluttering out, making some nice sounds to attract the female. So it's something like chi 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 chi. This, my friend, is an oriental garden lizard. Now this guy is completely covered by scales. Now what are these scales actually made up of? They're made up of the same material that our fingernails are made up of. It's called the keratin. Now these guys will also be able to change their body color based on their moods. The beautiful oriental garden lizard. Now this master of camouflage is called the jungle nightjar. Now these are typical insect feeding birds, and they may not have a very impressive or a stunning beak like maybe other birds do, but these guys have a very blunt small beak, which once they open it, it's more like a bug net. So let's meet a feathered friend, this beautiful Indian pitta, and try and count the different number of colors that you can see in the bird. Well, I can see a red, I can see a blue, something like a skin color. I can see the black stripe around the eye. Try and guess more. That's your task. Well, what you see here is a very unusual and a rare moment. Both of them look very different in the colors. The one looks exactly like a plain tiger, and the other is like a Danid eggfly male. It's actually the Danid eggfly female which is mimicking the plain tiger in order to survive. The interesting part here is that because plain tigers are considered toxic, they are often avoided by a lot of predators, and that is one mimicry or a defense mechanism in butterflies that you can actually see if you're really silent in nature and really lucky. This tree is a very common native tree around us, and we are often known to worship this tree. You can simply call it the peepal tree. But remember, it's not P-E-O-P-L-E, but it's the P with double E, P-A-L. Now if you see this leaf, it looks more like the spade with a really long ponytail. That's how you actually identify the peepal tree, by looking at its leaf. Remember that almost every native tree will always have its medicinal properties. So when you are planting a tree, remember it is a must to plant a native tree around you. What you see here are actually nature's choco chips. Well, you don't have to actually try one, because this is the poop of the nilgai. You can also call it the blue bull, which is Asia's largest antelope. Poop in wildlife has its own benefits to nature. Now the major benefit here is that the nilgai poop will help in the seed dispersal of many plants around, and that's how it flourishes and encourages the growth of nature and its ecosystem around. Look at this little lemon pansy. As soon as you start sweating and there's good amount of sunlight coming onto you, it seems to be a good perching site for the butterfly, and it's getting enough salts from me. I'm going to try and get it onto my hand. Oops.
Alright, so attracting butterflies towards you is a game of patience. Don't directly try and catch a butterfly, because the wings of the butterfly are very sensitive, and if you touch them, you may end up taking off the wing completely.
And See the club-shaped antenna that it has, and hence you can actually say that it's a butterfly. I'm just taking another casual walk with the lemon pansy. I have not tried to capture the butterfly, I have not tried to catch hold of the butterfly. It's just patience. Alright, so remember, a lot of times the tree bark is often important in identifying the particular tree. Now, don't forget to also try this activity. When you are next to a tree, just take a paper, just take a pen or a pencil and just try and trace how the bark texture is. If you don't have any of them, just thank the trees around you for helping you in providing oxygen. So you can give them a nice hug. Do remember that you wear your right shoes when you are in nature. You will feel thirsty, so do carry a bottle of water with you wherever you go, and ensure that it is not a plastic one, and nature will give back the best possible experiences to you, and you will have a great adventure. The brain fever is continuously calling out to me, so it seems like he doesn't want me to go home. Hope you've had a great adventure today, and until next time, thank you.
Okay, I hope you all enjoyed watching the trail. I have lots of comments in the chat box. Okay. What are the benefits of being in nature? You all know that you just saw that there's so much to learn from nature, and there are many other benefits too. So we all know that trees give us food. We get food from nature. We get medicines from nature. We get everything we need, even clothes to wear from nature. So there are so many benefits of nature. Apart from that, when you are there out in the nature, it really calms you down. Okay, and so it's very good for your mental health. So we can all be in nature. All right. So, but then how can you do that? How can you help? Okay, we all know that nature is degrading, and that's what WWF India works for. But how can you help? As little children, how can you all help? The first thing that you can do is you can observe nature very closely. The way our naturalist took you on a nature trail, you can ask your parents to accompany you, and you can go and visit a green spot, or you can just stand in your balcony and observe nature from the safety of your window, just in case your parents do not have time to take you out immediately. So today itself, you can just stand in your balcony, look outside and observe nature. What is the next thing that you do? Observing nature is more than simply looking at it. Okay. The second thing that you can do is explore. Say if you have come across an interesting bird, what will you do next? You will go back, ask people, find out more about it. Okay. And you just saw our naturalist telling you that, every tree has a medicinal property. Say if you come across a tree and you do not recognize the tree, go find out the name of the tree, find out about the medicinal properties of it. And that's how you begin to explore nature. And when you begin to know nature better, you will be able to connect with it better. You will be able to love nature. And when we connect and love something, we want to protect it. So the next step is you connect with nature. Okay, so in the end, you also saw the naturalist hugging the tree. And of course, that's another way of connecting with nature. All right, you can hug a tree, you can appreciate nature, you can talk about it. And these are some of the ways to connect with it. And when you observe something, when you spend time with something, you connect with it and you love it, you will definitely take action to protect it. Okay, but the first two steps are to observe and explore. And that is what we are going to do right now. Okay, now in the nature trail video, there was a bird that our naturalist showed you. Okay, so I'm not asking you the name of this particular bird, but can you count the number of colors on this bird? I think so. The colors are pretty clear in this picture rather than the video. So I am not sure if the, okay, 5, 7. A lot of people are saying 6, 8, 9. Someone said 9 and I missed it. So it has 9 different colors, okay? And which is the reason this is actually Indian pitta, but because of the different colors which can be seen on this bird, it is also called Navrang. Okay, so 9 colors, Navrang. Okay, this bird is called the Indian pitta and it has 9 different colors on its body. Okay, so you don't need much to be a good nature observer. All you need to do is, I'm going to share some of the things with you over here. You have to have a keen eyesight. You have to look at it very closely. Oftentimes, you know, when we are out in nature, we don't even know the bird that just went past by. But if you're a keen observer, you will be able to recognize the bird. You will be able to recognize the colors of its plumage. You will be able to observe the beak, the kind of feet it has, the color of the wings, and the kind of tail it has. Okay, so what more can be done? You can have a sharp set of ears, which means you will have to carefully listen to the call of the bird. Every bird has a very unique call. You just heard the naturalist, you know, calling, imitating the bird calls, the brain fever bird, the jungle babbler call. So there were different kinds of bird calls that you observed, that the nature kind of talked about in the video. Next is, you need to have a curious mind. That's the basic thing. You should be curious to learn new things. You should be curious to know more. And when you're out in the nature, there are so many things that you can, you know, focus your mind on and try to explore more. You need to have some patience. If you want to look at a butterfly or a bird or a tree, you have to sit in a place for a while and you have to look at it for a little longer. All right, for you to be able to make some observations. Next is lots of enthusiasm. Okay, our naturalist started the video by saying you need to have a lot of enthusiasm. Yes, I am excited to be in nature. So let's see how many of you after this session are excited to run out and look at a few trees and birds. And of course, a paper and pencil. If you have observed something, it is important that you note it down. And the next time you see, you can make some additions to it. Okay, so now we are going to play a little game. Okay, so here it is. You have to guess the name of the bird. So the two things, I'm not going to be talking about everything in this 1 hour. I'm going to talk about few very common things that you see around you. The moment you step out, the first thing you hear is a bird call, or you see a tree, or you see a bird. All right. So I am going to ask you to guess the names of some of the very common birds, and then I'm going to tell you a little more about them. Okay. So here are some clues. This bird, its favorite fruit is fruit and berries. And here is a little glimpse of the bird. So this bird is comfortable in cities and villages and, you know, where there are a lot of fruiting trees and you can often see them around you. Its name comes from the color of its wing. Okay, and as you can see, the wing side of the bird, it is colored red. So what is the name of the bird? Can anyone guess? I would request Mansi or Kathy help me with the answers.
People have written bulbul, woodpecker, birds of paradise, sparrow, red-vented, then
Red-vented bulbul.
Yes, we got the correct answer. Red-vented bulbul is the correct answer. It's actually a red-vented bulbul. Okay, it also has a crest of feathers on its head. So you can now see the bird and the. All right, this bird is a good mimic and can even mimic human words. I think so that's going to be an easy guess. It loves fruits, berries, and seeds. One more guess. Another clue. It is also illegally used by fortune tellers to predict future, but they don't know. But what they don't know is that birds cannot predict future. Okay, so okay, it deserves to be free in the wild. A lot of fortune tellers, you must have seen, they put them in the cage. So that was an easy guess. Can I have the answers, please?
Yes, everyone written parrots.
Parrots. Okay, here's an interesting thing. There is only one parrot found in India, South India. It's called vernal parrot. These are actually called parakeets. Okay, so there are two kinds of parakeets. If you observe very closely, there are two kinds of parakeets that you will see. Of course, there are other kinds as well, but two very commonly seen around are number one, rose-ringed parrot. As you can see, the parakeet. As you can see that the parakeet on the right side has a ring around its neck, and it's called a rose-ringed parakeet. And the another species of parakeet which can be commonly seen is called Alexandrine parakeet, and it has a red colored patch on its shoulder. Okay, so this is a rose-ringed parakeet. Okay, a male and a female. Okay, so now let me see if you can guess this one. It's a large gray bird. I think so that's an easy one if anyone has. Okay, it has a huge curved bill. Okay, here is the bill. I think so some of you may have already guessed the correct answer. Has anyone guessed the correct answer?
People have written pigeon, vulture, eagle, hornbill, or something like that.
Okay, yep, it is. Okay, let me give you some more information and then I'll reveal the name. During nesting, the female seals itself in a tree hollow, leaving only a small opening through which the male feeds her every now and then. Okay, so let me just show you a little video. This is a gray hornbill. Okay, and there are other hornbills as well found in India. And here is a little video I'd like to show where you can see the male outside on the bark of the tree, and there is a little hole on the left of the bird through which the female will have its food. So just have a look. So interesting. Yes, so the female is inside, and while the female is looking after the babies, the male goes out, fetches food for the family and feeds them too. So you can see that the female is safely inside the bark of the tree, inside the trunk of the tree, and looking after children. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Okay, now this is a straight image, so you should be able to. Can anyone guess now, just looking at the bird?
Eagle. That's what everyone's writing. Vulture, hawk, eagle.
Okay, those are really wild guesses, but this particular raptor is very commonly found. You would not very commonly see
Falcon.
vultures and eagles around, but this is a commonly seen raptor.
Falcon.
No.
Black.
Yep.
Black kite.
Yes, absolutely right. This is a black kite, and it is most abundant bird of prey in the world. Bird of prey are also called raptors. So eagles, vultures, hawks, ospreys, they are all birds of prey and are called raptors too. And some more information about black kite. It scavenges on garbage. So wherever human beings are, we tend to create a lot of garbage, which is why there are lots of black kites found in the urban areas. The feature that helps them maneuver in flight is my foretail, and the tail and the size of the bird will help you distinguish between different raptors. Okay, so here is a little clip that you can see. It has a fork-shaped tail. If you see the end of the fork, end of the tail, it is V-shaped or it is forked. And this is a very good way to identify a kite. Okay, so all kites will have fork-shaped. And other raptors have different kinds. There are eagles have diamond shaped. So you will have to go and study further. I'm not going to go into those details right now. Okay, now next is a very commonly seen bird and it's beautiful. Okay, so this bird drinks nectar and so it hangs around people and generally around the flower bearing plants and trees. Next, here is a little clue. Can anyone guess any answers, Mansi?
Yeah, there are hummingbirds. So
Hummingbirds are not found in India.
no, that's what they're answering.
Yeah,
Honeybee.
I'm just telling them.
Yes, honeybees.
Okay, honeybee. Honeybee is a bird. Okay, let me give another clue.
Sunbird.
Yes, sunbird is the correct answer. Okay, people often confuse them with hummingbirds, but hummingbirds are not found in Asia, which I said earlier. Okay, and this is a purple sunbird, but it's not purple in color. Why is it called purple sunbird? Because the male is purple in color. It's actually the female, and in the animal world, you will see that the females are generally dull colored. They are better camouflaged, so that because the job of the female is to lay eggs, hatch the babies. Even the fathers do that, but yes, the female does that majorly. So that they are not spotted by the predators. They are generally dull in colors and they easily merge in the background. Okay, so purple sunbird, the male is deep purple. Now another very common bird, I am sure you will be able to guess this. This bird eats grains. There are many birds that eat grains. Next is generally nests in the man-made structures. You would have seen them around your house, making their nests around their homes. But recently their numbers have come down. Any guesses?
Sparrows, pigeons. Till now.
Okay.
Woodcutter.
That was a quick guess. Easy guess. Okay. So 2 more very common birds. Now, house sparrow was a very simple one. I'm going to give you a little difficult one. Let's see. This is an insectivorous bird common to cities. There's a little glimpse of the bird and it has an interesting way of building the nest. There's a video. I'm not going to play the video, but this particular bird sews leaves together to make the nest and is also named after a well-known human profession. I think so. Now,
Tailor bird.
Yes, absolutely right. This is the tailor bird. It's really tiny little bird that you can see around. Okay, but you will be, since it's very small, both sunbird and the tailor bird are so tiny. For you to be able to spot them around you will have to become a very keen observer. Okay, so the last bird, very common. It's a frugivorous bird found in cities. Frugivorous is the fruit-eating birds. Okay, and let me just play I will play that call at the end because that is going to make it very easy. Here is a little glimpse of the bird. Okay, this bird lays eggs in the nests of other birds. So it's called a brood parasite. Any guesses? Answers in the chat?
Crow, quail, cuckoo, dove, crow, cuckoo.
Okay, I think so. This will reveal the answer.
Quail.
Very well known for its call. It's actually the Asian quail, and you can see the male is totally black and the female is has got patterns on it, and you can see them around. Very common. Their bright red eyes are very easy to spot in the foliage. Okay, moving on. Now, why are birds important? I don't think so. I will go to the chat now. I'm going to quickly talk about it. The birds do pest control. Do you know that they eat pests? The woodpeckers and a whole lot of other birds, they bore into the tree trunks and they eat the pests or the tiny insects that may live on the tree as a parasite. So they definitely do pest control. You must have seen a lot of raptors. They eat, rats, and then they eat, other pests. And so they certainly are very important. They are the bio indicators of a healthy ecosystem. We just discussed a while back, that the number of house sparrows is actually coming down for the reason that the environment is not suitable. It's not, the environment health has really affected, it's degraded, which is why the birds don't find it suitable. So wherever you don't see any birds, you know that this particular ecosystem is not healthy enough. Okay, what else do they? They are pollinators. Birds are the reason, birds and bees are the reasons why we get food. If they do not pollinate, we will perhaps not have any food, because they pollinate a lot of important food, which is why they are ecologically very important. Okay, now what are the threats to birds? Let's just find out. Habitat loss and degradation. Of course, the trees are constantly being cut. A lot of birds live on the tree. So when a tree is cut, all the birds living on it lose their home. They, because of the climate change, because the temperature is rising, the birds, their behavior pattern changes, the weather changes, because of which the breeding season get affected. Lot of migrating birds, they lose their way because they are not able to tell exactly, because also the winter months are shorter, they are not able to complete their migration path. So there are a whole lot of challenges because of climate change as well. Hunting and poaching, a lot of people kill birds for fun. They are eaten as well. So there are a lot of such stories. I am not going deeper into it. And you would wonder why bird feeding is a threat. So in an ideal scenario, an animal should be able to find food for itself. When we begin to feed them, they lose their ability to find food themselves. And when we stop feeding them, even one day, they become dependent on us. And it's not a good thing for a bird. Okay, after losing its ability to find its food, if they are stop being fed, then they will obviously not be able to survive. So these are some of the threats. The other very common things that you see around are the trees. So whenever you go out looking at trees, what are the things that you should very closely look at? The leaves. Okay, and you will have to look at a tree through seasons. Okay, the trees look very different through different seasons. There will be flowering season, so you should know when is a tree going to blossom. So sometime around March and April, Delhi has lots of yellow colored flowers on the trees of amaltas. So there are different seasons. They will have different flowering seasons. They'll have fruiting seasons. So you will have to very closely look at a tree through seasons. So looking at a tree just for one day or 2 days may not be enough, or looking at a tree through a single season will not give you complete information about it. So you will have to look at the leaves very closely. What are the different types of leaves that a tree has? What does the bark look like? Because you can also identify a tree through its bark. You must remember that our naturalist said that you can trace the bark if you're carrying a pencil and a paper, because that is also a way to identify a tree. There would be some twigs fallen from the tree. You can closely look at that. At times it has dried fruits on it, so you can look at that as well to identify a tree. Of course, flowers are very distinguishing features of a tree. The fruits, the kind of habitat. So if you go to the mountains, you will find more of pines and firs, which have spine-like, needle-like leaves growing in the areas where there is less water. So looking at the habitat also, you can tell what kind of tree would be found, and overall shape, of course. So here is a beautiful tree on the screen. It's a beautiful gulmohar tree that you see on the screen right now. And this is the season when gulmohar is blossoming. So you can see gulmohar tree the moment you step out. These orange and red colored flowers are very visible. All right, so I'll just basically tell you what are the two simple types of leaves. So the first one is a simple leaf. As you can see that, from the main stem, a single leaf comes out, and In the other's case, you can see a compound leaf where from one stalk you can see many leaflets coming out. Okay, so here is a simple leaf, and the examples are guava and mango. And this is a compound leaf, neem and coriander. And now when you go back and look at the neem tree or coriander, you can instantly tell, oh, it's a compound leaf. What other trees have compound leaves? So this is how you can begin to closely observe the trees around you. Okay, so I am not going into the parts of the tree. These are simple, you can find out anywhere, and you're also learning about them in your science lessons. Okay, so some of the common trees in Delhi, as you can see, I just talked about these yellow showers that, you know, the city of Delhi is filled with right now. The streets on both sides have a lot of amaltas trees, and the first one is amaltas, also known as laburnum. The second one is Palash, also called the flame of the forest, and it actually looks like a flame. Many of you would have seen this tree in your neighborhood, or close by maybe. The third one is the Ashoka tree, a very commonly seen trees around you. And then the last one is the Bistendu tree. Okay, so these are some very commonly found trees, at least 4 trees you can look outside and try and find them. All right, so it is not just the flowers. When the flowering season is over, you might have to look at the bark, you will have to look at the size of the tree, you will have to look at the leaves to be able to identify a tree. Okay, so in flowering season, of course, it becomes easier to recognize a tree. So now here is a very common tree, and you would all know about it. So here are some clues. Okay, now, so Alexander the Great was the first European to spot this tree in the Indian subcontinent, and it's the largest tree in terms of canopy coverage in area in India, and it's the national tree of India. Any guesses?
There's banyan tree, mangrove, people, banyan, people tree.
It's banyan. Okay, so banyan tree, and you all would know, if you have been to the botanical garden in Kolkata, you would know that the great banyan tree can be seen over there, and it has so many still branches. You can go, it's spread over hectares of land, and you can go and actually visit this tree in person with your parents and learn more about it. So it is the banyan tree. I'm going to move a little fast through this. Okay, again, very simple, has endless medicinal properties, and it's very popular. It's controlled. It controls pests and deals with pox viruses. You would often, and it is a major ingredient in soaps and shampoos. Can you guess the tree?
Tulsi, neem, tulsi.
Tulsi is not a tree.
Neem, everyone should neem.
Neem it is. Okay, and what kind of leaf does neem have? Anyone in the chat box? The 2 types of leaves we talked about?
Compound.
Compound, absolutely right. So this is a neem tree. Okay, so I'm going to just talk about one last tree. It is a very important a religious tree for Hindus as well as Buddhists, and it's one of those rare trees in India, and of course the leaves are heart-shaped.
People tree.
Yes,
People.
it's also called sacred fig. Okay, so this is the answer. And why are trees important? Some very common things. The trees are actually the wind barriers. They support biodiversity. We know the number of insects, reptiles, birds that live on a tree. So it certainly supports biodiversity, and it gives shade. So every time, I am walking around in the Delhi heat, I wish there was a tree all along so that I don't have to get the direct sun rays. It prevents soil erosion because the roots of the trees hold on to the soil very tightly. So it doesn't let the top soil, which is very important, which is the most fertile layer of soil, to get washed away or blown away. It produces oxygen. Oxygen is something that we all know, despite being so important to us. What's happening? We are losing trees to agriculture because we need more. There are more people, so we need more food. To grow more food, we need more land, and to make way for agriculture, we are going on cutting trees. Okay, and the forest, we are losing forests, and this is leading to deforestation. A lot of forest fires happen often because, and often these fires are man-made. You know, they may be natural because of multiple reasons, but often these are the forest fires are started by human beings for their own purpose, so that they can do illegal timber logging to cut the trees so that it can be sold in the cities. Okay, next is, these are invasive trees. What you see in the first one is actually called Videshi Kikar or Vilayati Kikar, and it's actually it's native to South America, but it was brought to India by the British people to make the large patch of land green much fast, because it grows very aggressively, and it is next to impossible to uproot this tree. This tree does not allow the Vilayati Kikar that you see over here, the first picture. It does not allow any other, undergrowth to take place, below it. So it is because it makes the soil very acidic. So it is definitely, it's an invasive tree, and it is not a native to India. The other thing that you see over here on the right is water hyacinth. It completely degrades the quality of the water body. It grows very aggressively, and it literally spoils the water body. These are invasive species. This is the problem our trees are facing. One very common thing, and in fact, something recently happened in Delhi, and I'd like to share that as well with you. You must have read in news a couple of days back, Delhi had wind up to 100 miles per hour, and there were showers along with it. And some really 20, 30 feet tall trees totally got uprooted because of concretization, because their roots do not find enough space to grow and hold onto the ground. They totally got, their roots become very weak and they get uprooted. Okay, so as you can see, that concretization weakens the root system, and the trees, 100 years, 100, 200-year old trees, they completely fall off. So often you would have seen people put nails on the trees. This is a very common problem that you would see. Okay, so nailing on trees for advertisements, and even signages, like you can see, do not damage trees. And to send across this message is actually damaging the tree. Okay, because doing this makes the trees more prone to diseases. Okay, a lot of openings which are unnatural, they open up and let the bacteria and other infections go into the tree and making the tree sick. Okay, and you must know that it is illegal, it is an offense under the Tree Preservation Act. So every time you see someone doing something like this, walk up to that person and very humbly tell that person not to do it, and inform them that it is an offense. Okay, so you would have seen a lot of people tie a thread around the tree to, if they want to put out any message, but never ever nail it. Okay, so what are some of the things that we can do to conserve the trees? We can, as children, we use paper a lot in our schools, at home for projects. We make sure that we do not waste paper. Okay, and 5 tips before you print, because we all do a lot of printing. See that you use both sides of paper. We can also go digital, and we can be selective about what we have to print. You don't have to print anything and everything. You can reach for the right paper. So there is a sustainably manufactured paper. It's called FSC paper. There is 100% recycled paper available in the market. So when you have to get paper, make sure that you go for the sustainable one. Okay, so the last thing is, and the most important thing is, that you plant a native tree. Why plant a native tree? because a native tree is already adapted to the climate and to the kind of soil. If you bring a tree from somewhere else, it will have to be taken a lot of care of. You will have to water them more. If you will have to put more fertilizer into them. So a native tree is better adapted to the natural environment, and when you plant a native tree, you will not have to take too much care of it. It will grow on its own. Okay, and they, of course, you have to plant more and more trees, but make sure that you go for the native trees. Okay, here I come to the end of the session. I have talked about birds and trees, two very commonly seen living things around you when you go out in the nature. So do observe them closely. If there are any questions, I can take those questions right now, but make sure that you get the right information and you also inspire others. Yeah. Any questions? I will stop sharing my screen, and then if there are any questions, I will be happy to take those.
Ma'am, I just wanted to tell you one thing, that earlier people have started Chipko movement to stop the people cut the trees so much. So they have started Chipko movement. I just wanted to say this.
Yes, absolutely. Learn more about it. Talk to everybody around you about Chipko movement. Okay, because people recognize the importance of trees, and there were women who gave up their life to protect the trees. So that's a very, very important story. Okay, Sundarlal Bahuguna had started this movement being inspired from the Bishnoi tribe, because the women of the Bishnoi tribe, they had given up their lives. They fought for protecting the trees. Thank you, Argun, for mentioning that. Someone is asking for the link to the video. You can go to the YouTube. Yes, Aditya. I can't hear you, Aditya. Can you unmute yourself, please?
It's unmuted. I think he has some microphone issue or something.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in your PPT, it was in the topic importance of trees. It was written crime prevention. So can you tell me how trees prevent crimes?
It didn't say crime prevention. I said it is illegal to put posters by nailing them on the trees. That is what I said.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, Rupakshi?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to ask, you said that there is the logo of WWF as a panda named Chi-Chi. Ma'am, so what was the meaning of that Chi-Chi? I was not able to follow properly.
In Mandarin, it means little naughty girl. So Chi-Chi is a Mandarin word. In English, it means little naughty girl.
There's this one question in the chat box. What are we supposed to do as we need to feed this rapid growing population? So if we stop agriculture practice, so we won't be able to feed population. I also eat. So how do we indirectly or directly depend on cutting trees?
So we can make the right choices. We can grow some of our food. There is a lot that can be done, and it may not be enough this session. We do not have enough time to talk about it, but you can definitely grow some of your food. You can make the right food choices. Go for plant-based diet. Avoid having, because a lot of land actually is lost to grazing of animals. Okay, if there are 8 billion people roughly on the planet, there are 60 billion livestock, and they are basically leading to desertification because they are grazing away the pastures, okay, and the meadows. So that is a bigger problem. So the right food choice, sitting in your home, by making the right food choice, eating sustainably and locally available food will actually help you make a difference. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Radhya.
Evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to ask you, what is the full form of WWE?
It is WWF, and it stands for, and it means World Wide Fund for Nature.
So children, you can put in your questions in the chat box and we'll see if Ma'am will answer those questions and we'll find out a way of sending the answers to you. Maybe some way we can think of, we can do that. But we'll see what we can do about it, about answering those questions. Answers will be there, but how they reach you is what we need to think about. So we come to the end of this wonderful session. On behalf of the foundation, I would like to thank Ms. Neha for this unique, different and interesting session. I would also like to thank our presenter, Shri Cement Limited and Education for All Trust. Also, a big thank you to Worldwide Fund for Nature for their association. Last but not the least, a big thank you to also the young listeners and viewers. Without their enthusiasm, this session would not have been successful. They were wonderful questions, and there are hordes of them. You can see that, and it is very sad that we can't accommodate all these questions in our session. We must have another session for that. So stay safe and stay well, everybody. Goodbye. Have a nice weekend. Thank you, Neha.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.